In today's video, life proves once again that it has a way of catching us off guard when we least expect it. That evening, as I sat alone in a small hotel room, I couldn't help but wonder how everything had come to this. My husband, Logan, had been away for months, working in another city. He barely called, rarely texted. In the beginning, I told myself the distance was temporary, that we'd find our way back to each other. But as time went on, his silence began to feel like a wall between us. It wasn't just that he was gone. It was that he'd stopped trying. And that kind of silence cuts deeper than words ever could. I missed him, yes, but more than that, I missed myself. The version of me who laughed freely, who felt seen and loved. I didn't know then that asking my stepson, Gary, to drive me to see Logan that weekend would lead to a night that would change everything. My marriage, my family, and even how I saw myself. That morning, before leaving the house, I paused in front of the hallway mirror. My reflection stared back. Tired eyes, a faint smile, and a woman who'd been pretending to be fine for far too long. I brushed my hair back, forcing a small smile. "You'll be okay," I whispered to myself. In the kitchen, Gary, Logan's son from his first marriage, was finishing breakfast. He was about to start college in a few weeks, full of energy and his usual jokes, always trying to make the room feel lighter. "Hey, you ready?" I asked, grabbing my bag. He grinned. "Yeah, but are you sure this road trip's worth it? Dad's not exactly been the most welcoming lately." I let out a quiet sigh. "He's still my husband, Gary. I just need to talk to him face to face," I finished. Gary just shrugged, grabbed the car keys, and we headed out. For a while, the drive was peaceful. The steady hum of the engine, the blur of trees racing past, and the soft tunes drifting from the radio. Gary talked about his plans for college, his friends, and how ready he was for a new beginning. Listening to him, I felt a strange warmth and a sudden ache. Time had moved faster than I realized. The boy who used to hide behind video games was becoming a young man, thoughtful, grounded, and kind. About 2 hours into the trip, a harsh hiss cut through the air. The car jolted, sputtered, and then went completely silent. "What was that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Gary frowned and eased the car to the side of the road. "Probably the radiator," he said. "I'll check." We stepped out into the thick summer heat, the air heavy and unmoving. The nearest town was miles away, no signal, no help in sight. After several failed attempts to reach a mechanic or towing service, it became clear we weren't going anywhere that night. By the time we stumbled upon a small roadside motel, the sun was dipping below the horizon. The place looked like it belonged to another decade. Peeling paint, flickering neon lights, and a faint smell of dust and old stories clinging to the air. While Gary spoke to the receptionist, I stood behind him, forcing down my frustration. If Logan found out, he'd probably blame me for not planning things better. But for the first time in months, I realized I didn't care what he'd say. Maybe because deep down I already knew. Something between us had quietly, irreversibly broken. The clerk. The clerk handed over a single key. "Sorry," he said. "Only one room left." When Gary unlocked the door, my heart sank a little. The room was small. One bed, one nightstand, and a single flickering bulb casting tired shadows across the walls. I let out a nervous laugh. "Well, I guess this is home for the night." Gary grinned. "It's not the Ritz, but it'll do." I set my bag down and glanced around. The air conditioner rattled weakly in the corner, making more noise than cool air. A narrow window looked out over the parking lot, and the curtains, once beige, now somewhere between gray and forgotten, hadn't seen a wash in years. Everything about the place felt temporary, like a pause between two chapters of life. I turned to Gary. "You hungry?" "Starving," he said without hesitation. We decided to grab dinner downstairs before calling it a night. The motel restaurant was quiet. A few tables, dim lights, and an old jukebox softly humming in the background. I ordered a salad and a glass of wine. Gary went for a burger. For a while, we ate in silence, the hum of the jukebox filling the gaps between us. Then he looked up, his voice softer than usual. "Do you ever feel like Dad doesn't really see people anymore? Like he's just lost somewhere?" The question caught me off guard. "Yes," I whispered. "I felt that way for a long time." Gary nodded slowly. "He used to be so alive, you know. After Mom, it's like he just shut down. Then you came along, and I thought maybe he'd wake up again." I smiled faintly, my chest tightening. "I thought so too." That simple exchange, honest, raw, and unguarded, shifted something between us. For the first time, we weren't just stepmother and stepson. We were two people who loved someone who had drifted away from us. Two people trying to understand the same emptiness. By the time we finished dinner, I felt